All right. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? Hmm? How's everyone doing? All right. Real question is, how am I doing? Not well. Don't feel good right now. All right. Current theories, I have the flu. I tested for COVID earlier. I don't have that. So it seems as though I have the flu. All right. I don't feel that good. Um Hopefully you guys you guys I show up here hoping you guys will make me feel better. All I see in chat is everybody saying late, Lorge, late. Yeah, just like the show says, like the stream. Everybody like the stream. Let's all like the stream. Kid Clip 2 cases flu game Morj. I don't know if it's the flu. It doesn't feel good. Virgo's here? What's Virgo doing here? Alright, everybody say... Wait, is the mic too low? Nah, the mic's fine. Alright, I want everybody to wish me to feel better. Everybody say, we hope you feel better, Morj. Something along those lines. I don't want to feel like I'm forcing your guys' hand, but I'm definitely not going to talk about the chapter till everybody hopes that I get better. Get well soon. That's nice. Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, guys. All right. Who was lying just now? Now come clean. Who doesn't actually care? Who doesn't care if I feel better or not? I want the truth this time. I want the truth this time. All right. Feel like there's a lot of liars in chat. Alright, here's the reason I was late, by the way. Yeah, we'll talk about Lucci in a second. I'm so happy. Let me just say this. I'm so happy that I had a lot of stress going into this chapter. Because, okay, so here's me going into this chapter. Someone's saying drink some hot chocolate and feel better. I am actually drinking tea. That's why I was late. I was late. I was late because I had to make tea. So, making tea, I don't know if you guys understand the full process, but it's like, you gotta heat up water. This takes about 2 minutes. Then you gotta put the water with the tea bag. Then you gotta do the tea bag stuff. That takes like another minute. Travel time back and forth, so I had to walk to the kitchen and back. I don't know. All in all, it took like decision making. I had to make the decision to make some tea. So all in all, it took some time. It took about 15 minutes to make this tea. Right? Makes sense, right? Virgo, you're asking me to send you a link. You think I want to talk to anybody right now, Virgo? I don't feel good. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't even want to talk to these guys in chat, but I have to because the chapter was really exciting. It was a really cool chapter. So let me share my personal side of it first, okay? So for me, what was the video that I just put out? The Lucci video, right? The Lucci video was already coming out somewhat late just because certain things happened. Basically, big project being worked on the side that delayed this week's video. So the Lucci video is coming out, right? So last week's chapter ended with a big big cliffhanger, right? Last week's chapter ended with a big cliffhanger, which was Luffy's about to fight Lucci again. I'm like, perfect time to do a video on Lucci, right? The stress going into this week's chapter was like, fuck, what if Lucci just gets embarrassed and humiliated and fucked up? Right? Then dropping a video talking about Lucci and like reminiscing about his greatness as a villain, etc., etc., etc. That video is gonna look like a fucking joke, wouldn't it? Right? That video is gonna look pretty embarrassing. Me sucking off Lucci for like a full video, only for the chapter to come out simultaneously and Lucci to look like an absolute joke. So I had a lot of stress heading into this chapter. Not a lot, but you know what I mean. It was just like, fuck, is this video just... I was actively rooting for Lucci during this break. I was actively like, I was like supporting him in my head. I was like, I didn't want him to beat Luffy, obviously, but in my head I was like, come on, man, you got it. Come on, just don't look sorry this chapter, man. Don't look sorry. Just put up a good fight. Put up a good showing, right? Don't get fucked up, right? At least make it look honest, right? So I had a lot of stress going into this chapter. Spoilers start leaking Monday. This is a week where I checked just because I needed to know for my own peace of mind, like what happens to Lucci. So I checked some of the early spoilers. Early spoilers said Lucci got one-shotted. I swear to God, that was what it said on Monday. It's on Monday it was saying that Lucci got one-shotted. That's what they were saying in the leaks and everything like that. So I'm just like, oh my fucking God, you fucking pussy-ass cat bitch. You got one-shotted? What was this all for? This fucking leopard man shows up thinking he can take on a Yonko. These were all the thoughts I was actually thinking. I was like, you stupid bitch, Lucci. I wrote a whole video on you. You show up. You showed up just to get embarrassed by Yonko Luffy. You showed up just to get, used as an made an example of, right? I was like, this stupid bitch. So like the video's coming out and I'm like, I can't believe I wrote a whole video on this dude just for him to show up and get one-shotted. Then the better spoiler, the more elaborate spoilers started coming out that revealed that no, Lucci did not in fact get one-shotted. So I was like, okay, he didn't at least get one-shotted. And then I finally got to read the chapter today. He looks really good. He did better than I expected. I think he did better than most people expected, right? Did he not do better than most people expected? Didn't he do really well? Virgo's saying, bro, I thought he was gonna... Come on now, Virgo. I'm not Dritz. I know better than that. All right. All right, we're good. Let's see. Sheriff Lafitte says, Kizaru, Sentomaru, Kuma dealt the Straw Hat their worst defeat ever. All three will be on Egghead. How do you see that history playing into the current story? That is a fucking great point. That is a great point. Kizaru, Sentomaru, Kuma dealt with the Straw. That's so cool. That is so cool. Them showing up, and the Strats are all Yonko now. They're a Yonko crew at this point. And it's just going to be such a different vibe. That's so exciting. Let me pull up a panel. Hold on. Let me pull up a panel. Let me pull up a panel for the people. You guys want to see how fast I pull up panels? You guys just want a bit of a reminder at how good I am at pulling up panels? 1 second. 1 second. Sometimes you just got to remind him. All right. I think it's 500 and here's my guess. 514. That's my guess. 514. I think this is the chapter Luffy's being sent. Oh, this isn't colored. Fuck, I'm an idiot. All right, 514. Take 2. 514 take 2. So Luffy's he's been sent flying. Right? He's been sent flying. He's been sent flying. And then here's what he says, right? What does he say? Where is it? What the fuck? Am I stupid? Where is it? No. I swear as Luffy's flying, he's having flashbacks. Oh, god damn it. No, it definitely happens. I swear it happens. As he's been sent flying, he has a flashback. Shit. Okay, I swear he has a flashback. Maybe it's a little bit later. Oh my god. I'm so dumb. Okay, maybe this whole scene happens. Then he, no, fuck. Where does it happen? I swear Luffy's trying to escape. And then he has some sort of a flashback where he specifically says that he's thinking back to those guys. He's thinking back to Kizaru, Sentomaru, and Kuma. Yeah, there we go. I'm not stupid. You guys are stupid. Look at this. All right, you guys seeing this? You seeing this shit? So, post Saboti, I was 2 chapters off. Sue me. I was right on the chapter where I thought it happened, but it was actually this chapter. So, post Saboti, Luffy has this memory. Kizaru, Sentomaru, Kuma will surpass them all, right? He groups all those 3 together. He wants to get revenge on him, all right? This is the arc where he's got them all lined up. This is great. This is kind of like a sports story where like imagine like you got eliminated by this team, and this team, right? Like 3 years in a row. And then you get this 1 year where you get all of them in the playoffs lined up for you perfectly, so you can go back to back to back. That's kind of what this feels like. I mean, Luffy doesn't need to beat Sentomaru. Lucci already did that, but you guys know what I mean. Spoonman says, do you think Devil's Fruits manifest by themselves from the desires, kind of like Devils from Chainsaw Man, or the desires are an allegory of scientists of the past? I think that they would organically organically... I don't know how much my stamina is going to be for this stream, but it's an exciting chapter, so let's go. The Devil Fruits, I do think they manifest from, I think it's a fantasy world thing. I don't think these are scientific creations, in my opinion. People were trying to tell me it's anime. No, it's real. We found it. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Ali Lubwama, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 2 months. What are your thoughts on Vegapunk's theory on devil fruits being humanity's desires? I mean, I don't think it's a theory. I think that's what Oda's telling us is the case. There's a very, very interesting video that I'm thinking I'm going to drop for next week on it, because it connects a lot of what Vegapunk said this chapter, I think connects a lot of the ideas of One Piece into one. So I think there's a really, really cool video I could put out next week. Sarmad Nawaz, welcome to the Yonko. Thank you. Appreciate it. Sheriff Lafitte says, Sentomaru died for your Lucci hype. Dude, the Sentomaru, that was the funniest thing. But it is for the Lucci hype, and I don't just mean in terms of Lucci's strength. I thought it was pretty cool. Okay, I'm not going to pull up the current chapter on the stream, because just dicey stuff with that. But I thought it was pretty cool. Like, this is the type of stuff I was talking about, which is Lucci is genuinely one of the smartest characters in One Piece in terms of... like, there's characters that are really smart in terms of broad, overall strategic thinking. So we're talking Crocodile, Doflamingo, right? Lucci is very smart in terms of, in the moment, figure shit out, right? In the moment, figure shit out. He's very quick, very decisive, at least as far as One Piece characters go. One Piece characters are very often not that smart, because Oda kind of has to use plot stupidity very often. Like, just plot-induced stupidity, if you know that phrase. He has to use plot-induced stupidity very often to make some of his scenarios work. Like, for example, this chapter, they showed up and they forgot that the Kuma Seraphim that they brought with them has direct chain of command orders from Vegapunk and Sentomaru. They're just like, whoops. It's like, shouldn't that be like one of the only things you need to keep in mind and remember when you're going up against Vegapunk and bringing a Seraphim? I don't know. But then you have Lucci, who is very smart for a One Piece character in that his immediate response is basically all we have to do is take out, okay, that's the chain of command, well, we can cut that out right away. So he takes out Sentomaru right away. Like, that's the type of stuff that he's going to do that most other One Piece characters aren't going to do. Caleb Brown says, Morj, there's rumors of alleged contracts with TCB. That's some JD Legend propaganda. I didn't even see Jay was doing... I didn't even see Jay was doing that sort of stuff till just recently. I think that's hilarious. Look, here's my contract with TCB. My contract with TCB, I'm with TCB. I'm on TCB's side until... I don't know. I'm on TCB's side until... I would love if TCB were able to get their chapters out a day sooner to compete with OP scans or whatever. I would love that. But besides that, I'm on TCB's side for the time being. Okay? Let me say that. For the time being. I'm not going to go out and be like, I'm never going to switch over ever. But I definitely prefer TCB scans a lot. I like the people that run TCB scans, etc. I would... If things get really, really drastic where everyone and their mother is basically just reading the chapter on Wednesday, nobody's reading TCB scans anymore, and it's significantly hurting, like, people don't want to tune into streams and stuff that are that late, chapter reviews, etc. If it gets to a certain point where it's just crazy and it's just me being obstinate to be obstinate, then I would consider changing over. But at the moment, I think I'm going to ride with TCB. At the moment. This is not me making a dramatic stand. This is not a hill I'm going to die on, but this is basically... the hill I'm on at the moment. Hybrid says, hey, Merge, could Kizaru be Vegapunk's son? I don't think so. Stan says, now that the crew knows Luffy is, now that the crew knows that Luffy is Nika, validity of ZKL? I don't even know what that means. ZK, oh, I see, that's funny. That's funny. Um, all right. Luke Cotton says, I think Gear 5th should only activate near death. Yeah, that's kind of like what happened to the Celtics last year, right? Except they lost in the finals, so it's not the same. Because the Celtics last year, they got to take out, the Nets. I don't remember their whole timeline. The Nets, the Heat, those are two big ones for them, right? The Nets, the Bucks, the Heat, right? That's big for them. Luke Cotton says, I think Gear 5th should only activate near death. So this is something I talked about earlier, and people didn't think I was right. I think I was voted against 90% or something. I said I don't think we're seeing Gear 4th again. I don't think we're seeing Gear 4th again because there's no reason to ever go to Gear 4th at this point, right? Why would you do Gear 4th when... Because otherwise there's always the thing is that I feel like Gear 5th is the fighting style Oda always wanted to write for Luffy, right? I feel like that's the fighting style Oda always wanted to write for Luffy. So I think he's just going to roll with that fighting style at this point, right? Gear 4th, it's such an incremental boost with such a heavy drawback compared to his base form relative to Gear 5th. Because Gear 5th opens this whole door of abilities for Luffy, right? I just don't see... I think Luffy was being literal when... or Oda was being literal when he said that this is Luffy's last Gear 4th against Kaido. Obviously, Luffy didn't know that at the time, but I feel like that was a statement, almost. In retrospect, I'm just I don't see Gear 4th coming back, personally. Because it's kind of just I don't know if... I just don't know. Luffy's base form is so ridiculously strong. These things like Gear 2nd, Gear 3rd, even Gear 4th, they're little amps and everything like that for him, but his base form is already really, really, really strong with all the hockey stuff he's got down, right? So Gear 5th is really the thing that opens, that's the huge power leap. And people were saying that, well, it's a huge drawback for him using Gear 5th. I don't think that was ever established, honestly. Doesn't the Awakenings honestly recover your health as far as we know? I don't know if it was ever established because I think that was... Correct me if I'm wrong. Kid and Law said that Awakenings drain your stamina, but am I crazy or was that just for Paramecia Awakenings? Can someone confirm that for me? If that's not just for Paramecia Awakenings, then I'm wrong. Samput Sakesh Revolprati, thanks for being a Yonko member for a month. Looks like Oda is adding the wavy Scarfish pattern on Awakened Zone. It made sense for Luffy because he's a deity, but why Lucci and why not Kaido? Okay, I'm just going to say this. I think Lucci's awakened form is cooler than Kaido's hybrid form. I'm just going to say it. That's what I think. I think it is a damn shame that we never got... Just give me confirmation of whether or not Kaido had awakening. Just give me confirmation. Just say it somewhere, please. Zaibatsu says, how strong do you think Kizaru will actually be? He seems very eager to want to throw hands with any Emperor, maybe Fleet Admiral level. I mean, if we say he's Fleet Admiral level, then what does that even mean at this point? Because Akainu's Fleet Admiral level. Aokiji was... basically equal to Akainu, so Fleet Admiral level. And then Kizaru, if we say he's also Fleet Admiral level, then there's no such thing as Fleet Admiral level, it's just Admiral level, and all three Admirals were there, right? I think Luffy beats Kizaru straight up if they fight here, basically. I am surprised that Lucci gave Luffy... it doesn't seem like Luffy's having difficulty. It doesn't seem like Luffy's having difficulty, but it's also tough to tell because... it doesn't seem like Luffy's having difficulty. But this tea is not the magic cure I was informed it would be. I'm not normally a tea drinker, but it's supposed to fix this shit, right? So, yeah, I think that Luffy should be able to beat Kizaru straight up. Again, surprised that the thing that I was surprised about with Lucci was not most. I think most of the fight seemed cool. I think the fact that they clashed and Lucci didn't immediately lose that clash, that's weird to me. Because it's just it's clear that they're not using Advanced Conquerors, right? Because their fists were touching instead of not touching, which is Advanced Conquerors. But at the same time, it's kind of just well, why wasn't Luffy using Advanced Conquerors, right? Timon A says, Yo Mork, first time catching the stream live. I've been watching for 2+ years now. Love your work. P.S. Everybody liked the stream. Yeah, thanks. Okay, yeah, everybody liked the stream. I haven't been watching that. Let's get the stream likes up to 400. Let's get it up to 400. Pierre Sullivan says, thanks Pierre Sullivan, since we power scaled last stream, just like how the monster trio is portrayed as Luffy greater than equals Zoro than greater than equals Sanji, it's also portrayed as Sanji greater than equal Jinbei, greater than equals Frankie. So basically Frankie can stand with the monster trio. I just don't know if I agree with that, man. I do think that at a certain point, even if you think Sanji and Jinbei are very close right now, which maybe there's probably an argument for that. I don't know. I personally think that there's a gap, but I think that there's a solid argument that Jinbei is very close to Sanji. I just think that by the end of the story, it'll be Luffy, Zoro, Sanji significantly above the rest of the crew. I don't see Jinbei becoming that much stronger by the end of the story, personally. So I don't know. Stormfox says, Lucci looks good as long as you ignore that he didn't land a single hit and that Luffy didn't use Advanced Conqueror's Haki during that clash. Yeah, no, I mean, when I say he looks good, it's relative to what we thought, right? I'm going to be honest. What Kaido did to Luffy in Act 1 of Wano, I mean, it's hard to explain, but, like, it's not like I thought Oda would ever have Luffy do that to Lucci, but at the same time, just stepping back out of it, I'm like, shouldn't Luffy kind of be able to do something like that to Lucci? So the fact that the fight wasn't just an immediate, like, you know, Luffy just claps him, that in itself, like, Oda's making it more of an interaction, right? So in that sense, it's not like Lucci's looking good, as in, like, he's as strong as Luffy or something. I'm saying that, like, relative to what I thought, or what could have been, you know? Catastrophe says, Lucci got a buff, so Akainu must have got stronger. I don't know. I think it kind of depends. Like, I think it's entirely possible Akainu got stronger, but, like, I just think it depends. Like, there's characters that seem like they're more so being framed as, like, on the up and up, like, training, getting stronger, stuff like that. Like, Lucci, I think you know, I think certain characters from pre-time skip to post-time skip are framed like that, right? Like, Lucci, obviously the supernovas, etc. Then there's characters like I don't know, Aokiji. Do I think Aokiji got stronger between pre and post time skip? Personally, no. Kizaru, do I think Kizaru became stronger pre and post time skip? Personally, no. I just don't know. Sarmad Nawaz's favorite thing in the chapter was the acknowledgement the Straw Hats received from the world government and Akainu. Finally, some respect to their name. Yeah, I really, really like that, because if you guys remember, I had some stuff to say about this towards the beginning of the arc. I was kind of like, you know, Bonnie doesn't view the Straw Hats with respect. Vegapunk is just like, oh, we'll just knock out this Yonko crew, etc. These were just small things initially. And then, of course, the Green Bull severe disrespect back towards the end of Wano. These were just small things initially where people were like, oh, it's so cool Luffy's a Yonko. But for me, it was kind of like, I still personally don't feel like they don't act like characters like Green, like just the random characters we run into, Green Bull, Bonnie, Lilith, right? They don't act like Luffy's a Yonko, at least from my perspective. They don't give him that respect, really. This is the first time that it feels like significant characters, are talking about Luffy with the same degree of, they're giving him the same weight as though he's a Yonko. And beyond that, like, if they don't want to straight up respect it, like, it's Lucci. Sure, he's going to go after Luffy no matter what. That's fine. But I'm just saying, like, the fact that people are saying that this is what we're supposed to do, this is how we're supposed to view them, right? Like, Lucci was actually fine with not going after Luffy, if I remember, in this chapter. He was like, okay, just stay out of government business, we're not going to attack you. Then Luffy got mad at Lucci and the fight started, if I remember correctly. J.K. Kane says, Lucci is awakened, but Kaido isn't, I guess. Dude, I don't know. That's just disappointing to me, personally. I just don't get it. I really don't get it. Haritz Andika Nugroho says, can you do a theory on Haki's origin? I don't know if Haki has an origin like Devil Fruits, because Haki seems like something that's more innate, right? But maybe they'll explain that, too, as the story goes. 1 second. Sorry, guys. My throat is not 100% right now, so... Because, yeah, just feeling a little under the weather, basically. I think I'll be better soon. I don't know. I was feeling super bad this morning, so just please be patient with me a little bit right now. Let me get to these supers. Jaren's Rambo says, how are you always late? You sent the times. It's just the way it plays out. It's just the way it plays out. I try to be on time. I promise. I had to make tea today. That was it. Tea because I'm not feeling well. Aespa Comeback says the physicality of zones makes them more. The physicality of zones makes them more compatible with hockey than Logia/Parmesias. Zones get big buffed post time skip. Example: Kaido, Lucci, Luffy, Yamato, ulti. That's a good point. That's a good point. Good point. Good point. Stan says Straw Hats and Friends versus Kizaru difficulty, Chekhov's gun, and Vegapunk's light weapons. So you think Luffy doesn't fight Kizaru, but it's gonna be I like the idea of the light weapons coming into play. Spoonman says, I wish Kizaru bumps into Zoro and Brook on the ship first. Wait a sec. On the ship first. If not, then they're gonna be there the whole arc. Zoro and Brook versus Kizaru. I mean, maybe they're just not gonna be prominent in this arc because maybe Oda feels like he gave Zoro enough shine in Wano and he doesn't give a fuck about Brook because it's Brook. I don't know. Gregory Wood says, who do you think will fight which Seraphim? The setup right now is just... The setup just right now is just so cool. It became really, really cool, right? Because we've got 4 Shichibukai, essentially, right? 4 Shichibukai. I would love to see Zoro versus the Mihawk Seraphim. I would love to see Zoro versus the Mihawk Seraphim. I would love to see Jinbei versus Jinbei. And Hancock versus... I don't know. Oda likes the girl matchup, so maybe Hancock versus Robin, but I feel like Robin's out of her depth there, unless the Hancock Seraphim is severely weaker than the Robin Seraphim. Hybrid says ZKK, Zoro kills Kizaru, or Zoro kisses Kaku. I don't know if either of those are happening, man. Mohamed Sadeghi says, it will be a magic healer if you add honey and lemon. Yeah, I was told to get honey and put it in the stuff too, but I just didn't do it. There's not really good reason. Let's see. I did actually just buy... I bought Dayquil and NyQuil. I don't know why I got both. They probably do the same thing pretty much. I was reading a little bit, and then I was just like, fuck it, I'll just roll with it. Because they came in a packet of 2. And it says that they do the same thing, but NyQuil makes you sleepier. So I'm like, is that better than Dayquil or worse than Dayquil? I'm not sure. Pierce Sullivan says, Frankie slandered, disliked, and unsubbed. What did I even say? No, I think Frankie's really cool. G4162 says, I think Kizaru surprises. He'll be mostly on par with Luffy if they fight, but it will end before any sort of seriousness. Admirals needed big time. Yeah, if the Admirals if the Admirals and the Seraphim get taken out before the final war, Jesus, like if Kizaru and the Seraphims are taken out by the final war, Jesus Christ, that's... I don't know. I would love to see Luffy beat Kizaru, but I don't want to see Kizaru taken out at the same time. I want to see him in the final war, and I want to see Luffy fight him and beat him here. It's weird. But usually when Oda has characters just get defeated, right, then he doesn't really bring them back anytime soon. It's like a box has sort of been checked off. It's like, you're done, right? Flame Emperor says, I personally still think Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji are way above the rest of the crew. We haven't seen Zoro or Sanji go all out, much like post-Enies Lobby. I think that that's the case too, but, you know, people... I think there's just kind of various biases that come into play, and some good arguments, but, like, you know... If you're a Jinbei fan, you want him to be closer to Sanji. If you're a Zoro fan, you want to say Jinbei's maybe stronger than Sanji, right? Like, so there's just... there's some biases there. I still think that... I personally believe it's more likely that... Luffy, Zoro, Sanji will always be a step above. Aslan says Oda's paneling is dog-ass like it's actually unreadable. I thought that there was a really... I'm not going to comment on that. I don't read One Piece for good paneling at this point, really. Like, Oda's trying to fit in a lot of content per chapter at this point. That's just the way it is. He's trying to fit in a lot of content per chapter. And one of my favorite panels. Can we talk about the Lucci attacking Sentomaru panel? Was that not an amazing panel? I love that panel. I thought that was one of the coolest. I think that that's the coolest panel of Egghead Island, which isn't saying much. Coolest panel since what? Coolest panel since sometime in Wano, I guess. Probably some point during Luffy versus Kaido. Lucci's attack on Sentomaru was awesome. I thought it was great. Mr. Crescent says, so if hockey equals will and devil fruit equals desire, Oh, wait, guys, everyone shut up. Shut up. Listen to Mr. Crescent here. Interesting point. Hockey equals will. If hockey equals will and devil fruit equals desire, is this why strong hockey beats devil fruits? Because will can overcome desire. And you think if one has strong desires, they could manipulate their fruits similar to Luffy's gears. I'm going to not talk too much about the second part of the question, because to me the second part seems more like just Luffy's creativity coming through rather than necessarily willpower or whatever. But that is such an interesting idea. Hockey equals will and devil fruit equals desire. That's a crazy interesting idea. I love it. But wouldn't those things tie together in some sense, in that the strength of characters' desires that's similar to wills? Like, we want, like, really, really wanting this. For example, Luffy's fruit probably being born out of a strong, strong desire for freedom, right? Wouldn't that tie into a strong will or drive for freedom? I guess desire is more of a base sense, but I guess strong desire... I don't know. I think I'm just... I got to take some time and think about that one, because right now it's just going to be a mess. But love that point. It's a great point. Everyone say some good stuff about Mr. Crescent. Everyone say one good thing about Mr. Crescent. Also, like the stream. Like the stream. Shit, hold on. Let me pull up the stream. What happened to the stream? All right. Oh my god, we're only at 400 likes? Okay, 600. Let's get to 600 likes. We can get to 600 easy. Overdrive X saying chapter was alright. What more do you want? This chapter was awesome. And we're getting Kizaru coming up next. Egghead Island just went pretty crazy. Right? This is kind of insane. We got Kizaru on his way. Kuma probably on his way. Fun 6000 says every chapter is making Kaido look worse. Let's see how Luffy versus Lucci goes next chapter. For some reason, Luffy seems angry about Lucci hurting Sentomaru, which just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, at all, because it's just like... The last we saw Luffy and... Luffy didn't like Sentomaru, obviously, during Sabaody. In fact, Sentomaru traumatized him. Then Luffy got fucked up again by Sentomaru. I think Luffy ran into Sentomaru again during Marineford. I might be wrong about that. I forget, but there was no point where Luffy became friendly with Sentomaru, really. Right? It's kind of weird. Like, to me, Luffy being, like, all peppy and excited to see Sentomaru again makes about as much sense as Luffy being all peppy and excited to see Kizaru again. It just wouldn't make any sense to me. But I think Oda's just rolling with it because Oda wants us, the reader, to understand that Sentomaru is a good guy character right now. He wants us to understand that. Therefore, it's just like, okay, Luffy intuitively has just decided that Sentomaru is a good character, even though Sentomaru did nothing to change Luffy. Like, he did nothing to really... That's a little weird to me, right? Because obviously Luffy knows Kuma's a good guy at this point because Luffy... They all realized what Kuma did for them at Sabaody, and also Kuma protected the ship and everything like that. But it's just weird that it's just like Sentomaru was really a traumatic figure for the Straw Hats way back when, and now Luffy's just like, oh, it's Axe Guy, and he seems almost upset that Lucci attacked him. I guess he's just going off the fact that Vegapunk likes Sentomaru. I don't know. There's something weird there. Also, Sentomaru has a good relationship with Kizaru last we saw, so there'll be some interesting stuff. Let's see. Sheriff Lafitte says, I really like the crew's reaction to Luffy's new form and the Nika reveal. It kind of plays into how Luffy has reached this new status in the world. Yeah, I liked it a lot because we never got that reaction in Wano. Not that I expected it in Wano because, like, usually Luffy has these improvements and stuff, and it's kind of just... Like, the crew will see it when they see it. Like, it's not a big deal. They didn't need to see his gears and stuff. They got a picture of it during Thriller Bark, and they even commented on it. Like, oh, this is Luffy's new fighting style. Seems crazy. But they don't need to... You know, they never talked about Gear 4 as far as I know. I thought it was really cool that they're finally acknowledging... Like, this one's a really big deal, so they're acknowledging and discussing it. I like it a lot. Aslan says, nah, I hope that Luffy goes full Kaido mode and fights all the Seraphim and fucks them up. Vegapunk needs to be humbled if we being real. I don't know if Luffy's gonna do that. Beat all the Seraphim? Seraphim are strong. The Mihawk Seraphim had Blackbeard sweating for a second. Although Blackbeard's always... thrown off guard by every single thing that gets thrown at him, but still. No, but the Mihawk Seraphim is really, really strong. Again, best straight up cutting feat, like on a, you know, large scale cutting feat. I think we've gotten in the story. Not the best cutting feat, because you can be like, well, Zoro fucking cut Kaido. Is that not the best cutting feat? Yeah, but like, you know what I mean. Best large scale, no devil fruit involved cutting feat that we've seen. I don't think Luffy can beat all the Seraphim right now. No, even if he could, I just think that would be such a high difficulty fight. It's like, well, what the fuck would the other Strahds be doing right now? Cigarverk says it might be like Sabaody, Kizaru versus the whole crew. And that'd be interesting. Kizaru versus the crew. But what's Luffy doing then? Is he still just messing around with Lucci? Matthew Aguero says, One Piece TikToker, iconic_Mav, explains why Kaido never awakened on page. I'm not ever, listen up, never, ever going to listen to a One Piece TikToker. A One Piece TikToker. Holy shit. Sheriff Lafitte says, will Kizaru punish CP0 for defying Akainu? I don't think so. Also, Lucci's really strong. I don't know how easy Kizaru can bring the hammer down on him, to be honest. Like, Lucci overperformed, I think, most people's expectations this chapter. Right? Again, it's not like he's equal to Luffy or anything like that, but it's not like Luffy just steamrolled him. Luffy probably could if he really went all out, but it's just like, I don't know. Sampat Sakesh Revol Perthi, like, okay, if I'm being fully honest, the way Luffy versus Lucci is going right now is about how I expected Luffy versus... This is how I would expect Luffy versus Kizaru to go. Because I think Luffy is above Kizaru. I think Luffy is above Green Bull, Fujitora. And, yeah, I would imagine if Luffy fought them, he would have to go gear 5th. Like, this is how I would imagine. I would imagine Luffy would probably have to go gear 5th against an Admiral. He'd probably do a lot of dodging of their attacks with his shenanigans and stuff. They're not going to get one-shotted by his first attack, right? So the same way Lucci didn't get one-shotted by, you know, either of his attacks here or whatever. But ultimately, Luffy would have the advantage. That's how it feels right now. And that's how I that's how I imagine Luffy versus Kizaru would go. So maybe I'm overrating Lucci right now. Maybe I'm underrating Kizaru. Maybe I'm underrating Lucci. Maybe next chapter Luffy gets a bit more serious and steamrolls Lucci. And then he has to go into a bit higher level of effort against Kizaru. But I just don't think Luffy versus Kizaru would be the same difficulty for Luffy as Luffy versus Kaido was. I just don't think that makes sense. At least from the sense we've been getting about the gap between Yonko and Admirals as of late. Not counting, I guess, Akainu or whatever. Technicalities, whatever. Sampat Sakesh Revolprati says, if devil fruits are based on desire, then there should be more devil fruits than people in One Piece. Will we get more devil fruit info? Thoughts on old encyclopedia? Lucci KO. No, because I don't think it's like every little fickle desire in the world. It sounds as though it's very powerful desires that can eventually become devil fruits. So I don't think they're just like random stuff. Hybrid says, Kizaru reacting to what Lucci did to his nephew. Ooh, I don't know. Well, I don't think it's literally his nephew, right? When Sentomaru called Kizaru his uncle, wasn't that like more the Japanese way of saying like uncle, like not literally uncle, but just like, you know, the figure that's like a uncle figure to you. John Ross says any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Arthur C. Clarke. Yeah, I mean, that's, I guess, a good point, but I think that the devil fruits might literally be magic. Cigar Verk says, I mean, although that is a lot of the blending of what Vegapunk's been talking about lately in terms of, like, what's real, not real, what's science, what's magic, etc. Interesting quotes throughout Egghead Island from Vegapunk, for sure. Cigar Verk says, it's also always have been Luffy's observation hockey where Luffy knows the intention of others. That's true. So Luffy's usually got a good read. I think sometimes it's like randomly inconsistent. Like during Whiskey Peak when Luffy wanted to fight Zoro or some shit like that. But like sometimes Luffy just gets fooled by the stupidest shit. But you're right. Usually Luffy's got a good read. Caleb Brown says, where do you got Jinbei and the crew power-wise? I got him 4th. Everything and Nothing says, I'd rather die than getting help from Vegapunk. Okay. It's not going to help you. Jerence Rambo says, in your top 5 stream, why did you not want to put Law in the running, even if he's overhyped? His devil fruit is broken, / hacks, his feats are his feats, he's a contender. Because I think at the end of the day, I think there's only 7 characters. 7 characters that people realistically put, argue for top 5, and the order gets rearranged. Not in order. These are the ones that get mentioned, right? Shanks, Luffy, Blackbeard, Shanks, Luffy, Blackbeard, Mihawk, Dragon. Who am I missing? Shanks, Luffy, Dragon, Kainu, right? Shanks, Luffy, Mihawk, Blackbeard, Dragon, and Kainu. I think those are the only characters people realistically argue top 5, right? And those are characters where you can kind of juggle around. I've seen those characters mixed and matched in top 5 arguments. I think most people, even if you argue Law is as strong as an Admiral or something like that, most people don't have the Admiral's top 5. Most people don't have Kizaru top 5. Most people don't have Fujitora top 5, right? When I say most people, I'm saying, I don't think I know anybody who has Kizaru, top 5. Maybe, 4% of people or something like that, right? And, how many of those people think that Law is stronger than Kizaru? There's just... I think most people have Law below Blackbeard, right? I think if you asked everybody, well, what about Law versus Luffy, Law versus Blackbeard, Law versus Dragon, Law versus Shanks, right? I think it's a clear no, right? I only added more names into the running just because I was extending it a little bit for fun. So I was like, okay, let me throw in the Admirals and stuff like that. Let me throw, because for fun, it's okay, well, what if some people really like Kizaru? Let's see if some people really wanted to push for Kizaru top 5. Some people maybe really still think Garp has still got it or something like that. Maybe I was just doing some stuff for fun to extend it, because if you just do the top 7 and then not narrow it to 5, it's too short. But then it's once you're getting to stuff like Law and Zoro and Kid, it's just we're past the point where anybody's going to realistically think that those are top 5 characters, you know? Maybe top 10. Some people want to stretch, they want to say top 10, sure, but we all know that they're not going to make top 5. Kings of X says, I don't like the fact on how Lucci still got up after Gear 5th attack. I feel like that it should have been a one-hit KO. I mean, I agree. The question is Luffy using Advanced Conqueror's Haki? Because at this point, basically what we're seeing is that Lucci is stronger than any of the first mates, right? So over the time skip, it's kind of crazy if you think about it. Think about it like this. Lucci's training over the time skip. Lucci post-time skip was not just stronger than Luffy post-time skip. He was, significantly fucking stronger than Luffy post-time skip, right? Luffy had to go to Wano and get, 10 power-ups in a row. Advanced armament, right? He had to learn 2 levels of armament. He had to get Advanced Conqueror's Haki, strongest power-up in the world. He had to awaken, the fucking legendary Devil Fruit, the Sun God Fruit, right? He did all those things, and now he's above Lucci. But it's just kind of insane to think, okay, so Lucci could probably fuck up Katakuri, because I don't see Katakuri doing... I feel like Luffy would destroy Katakuri, right? I mean, I don't think that's crazy at all, because we saw where Luffy was at the start of Wano, Act 1, one-shotted by Kaido. Luffy has to go through all that stuff, and now he's at the same level as Kaido, roughly, maybe not equal, but same ballpark. He can go fight toe-to-toe with Kaido for a bit. And it's well, he can't just run over Lucci like that, right? To me, that puts Lucci above the first mates, that's for sure. I don't know. Flame Emperor says, there are more Mr. Morj TikTok edits, lol. What does that even mean? I don't even know what that means. Sauce says, Morj, stop being a boomer and join the TikTok hype. No. TikTok, it'll go away in a bit. It's not around for long. Trust me. I got a feeling this is one of those fads. You know, kind of like how Twitter's about to go away? I feel like TikTok's about to go the same way. Tomahawk PWPT says he could have been happy to see Sentomaru due to the effects of Gear 5th making him overtly happy. Oh, maybe. True, he was really angry at Lucci, and then that went away as soon as he went Gear 5th. Appman2 says, not sure if this was asked, but it was the... not sure if this was asked, but it was the authority chip made using the Ope Ope no Mi or clone of it. 1 second. But was the authority chip made using the Ope Ope no Mi or a clone of it? I don't think it was made using that, as far as I can tell. Justin Holland, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for a month. Hello, been a while. It has been a while, man. I always felt like the devil fruits kind of work like the power rings from Green Lantern. I feel like that's more like how hockey works, right? Like the stronger stronger your will, the greater you get out of it. Uchek says, Lucci pulling up with an awakened form just for Luffy to be falling asleep fighting him is hilarious. 40 minutes behind, so I don't know if anyone said this already. Don't worry about that. Yeah, no, I think Lucci definitely got made fun of. You know, like, he's definitely getting mocked by Luffy here. But, again, I'll be honest. I was worried that Luffy could just one-shot him. I hope Luffy... I think Lucci's... I think he's due to get fucked up next chapter, I guess. That would make sense to me. Because he gets to play for one chapter, survive a chapter, basically, not look terrible, then maybe get fucked up next chapter. I don't know. Jinho Wong, what's up? Thanks for being a member for a month. Lucci isn't admiral level, he's catadmiral level. Ha 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 ha. It's very, very funny stuff. Okay. Guys, I got about maybe, I don't know. I got some more time in me, but I'm going to be honest. Pretty tired. My throat's a little bit... For those of you who are tuning in late, I'm not feeling well. I do think I have the flu at the moment, but this was a really hype chapter, so we're going to talk about this. I think I got 30 minutes in me. Angel Rise says, I think it... Wait, I skipped ahead for a second. Hawkeye says, Zoro cutting the horn of Onigashima greater than S-Hawk cutting the mountain. You're forgetting how big Onigashima is. I don't know, because, like, is Onigashima bigger than Amazon Lily? Because the mountain and Amazon Lily... Because Zoro cut the horn, but I don't think the horn itself is bigger than a mountain. If Zoro cut all of Onigashima, I think you got an argument. But he just cut the horn. That's, like, basically a really big pillar. But I don't think that's the same as cutting the mountain of Amazon Lily. In fact, I would say that Zoro cutting Pika, like, wasn't Pika probably bigger than the Onigashima horn? I don't know. Angel Rise says, I think it's a culmination of people desiring the same thing. That's why there's only one of each devil fruit. Yeah, I think it's got to be a lot. Although there's some wacky-ass devil fruits out there that make me question how many people really wanted it. You know, it's like that, never mind. Tom says, I guess someone liked giraffes even more than Kaku. That's true. Sampath Sukesh Ravolprati says, what did Vegapunk mean by living in a wondrous world? I mean, that's the One Piece world, right? It's a fantastic, romantic, exaggerated world with all sorts of crazy shit. That's an idea that's been pushed throughout One Piece, right? How anything man can imagine is true in reality, etc. That's why so many crazy islands exist, so many crazy characters exist, etc. It's part of the fun of reading One Piece, right? Pierce Sullivan says, why was Frankie not in your top 5 contender list? That's... See, this is the type of shit I'm talking about, right? John Ross says, I want to see Chopper with the smoke veil when he authentically awakens. I don't know if Chopper's going to get it. I still feel like Monster Point basically is as good as it gets awakening-wise for Chopper, right? Like, how much more awakening does he need? I would love to see whatever Chopper's next power-up is. I would love to see it being, I don't know, something different. Like, not just awakening, but some new sort of form that he's able to concoct with his Rumble Ball stuff, right? I'm still bummed Chopper didn't get a fight in Wano, just because the replacement for a fight that he got was the Ice Oni stuff. And the Ice Oni stuff was just... I'm going to tell you, if you go back... I never know how many people reread Wano, but if you reread Wano, it's crazy how bad the Ice Oni stuff is. It's like standout bad. Like, because there's so much shit going on, and you're getting through like a good chunk of, the Onigashima battle, and at a certain point you're just like, why the fuck was 10 chapters of this that could have gone to so much other shit? Why was like 10 chapters of this devoted to Ice Oni stuff happening that led to pretty much nothing except Chopper saying the solution is fire, and then that's basically it. There's no like character stuff for Chopper at all. There's no he doesn't really go through anything. There's no it's just like, here's a problem. At some point, Chopper says, I have the solution. The solution is something really dumb. And then that's pretty much it. That's how the story resolves. The difference is like, well, what if Chopper got, one chapter devoted to a fight? I think if you take Chopper, if you go read Chopper, here's all I'll say. If you go read Chopper versus Gedatsu, and then you go compare that one chapter to all fucking 10 chapters of the Ice Oni situation, the fucking singular Gedatsu chapter is a million times bigger for his character than the Ice Oni thing, which was basically a nothing burger, right? It was basically nothing. Rei Uchiha, thanks for being a Yonko. For a member, someone had to have really wanted a jacket. Yeah, I saw the jokes about the jacket fruit going around. I still think it's a cool fruit. I can imagine how somebody would have wanted. I feel like the jacket fruit makes sense if somebody really wanted to be able to fuse with somebody else. I maintain that makes sense. And it just so happens that the people that wanted to do the fusion, the way they envisioned it was just a fucking bizarre. Look, because the people of One Piece, they haven't seen Dragon Ball Z, right? So they don't have in mind stuff like, they're working from scratch. When they really want to fuse with someone, they can't think of the fusion dance. They can't think of the Patara earrings. They can just think of, well, what if we could fuse? Well, how would we even begin to do that? What if I was I don't really know how the whole Devil Fruit creation thing works from Desires, but I'm just saying, what if a lot of people really wanted to fuse? And that's just the organic way that was subconsciously they all wanted to fuse. I don't know. I don't got it. But that's basically all I got. That's it. RR One Piece 101 says Morj quit hating on Chopper. I don't hate on Chopper. I'm not one of those people that's one of those people. Is Virgo still in chat? Is Jay here? I'm not one of those people that hates on Chopper for no reason. Chopper was legitimately, he's legitimately one of my favorite Straw Hats. That's why I'm sad when he doesn't get anything out of a storyline, when it feels like it's set up to get him something, Trinity, he could have cured the smiles. And what's funny is like, he doesn't cure the smiles, and then people's defense is basically like, well, the smiles aren't a disease. They're not a disease, etc. So Chopper can't cure him. It's like, yeah, but Chopper cured that other shit. Like, wasn't he heavily involved in counteracting didn't he contribute to helping deal with the giant stuff and stuff like that on Punk Hat? Isn't Chopper just usually involved in stuff like that, which involves like weird, weird, I guess, pharmaceutical stuff happening to you? I swear that's been a thing since, it's not like, I don't know. I don't think that's really out of the realm of it. I mean, sure, it's not a disease, but you guys realize that Chopper's probably most prominent work as a doctor is literally working on devil fruits and artificially enhancing devil fruits, which is the rumble balls, right? The smile fruits are, honestly, it feels very similarly in that same vein of working with sort of artificial enhancements that come out of devil fruits. I don't think it's crazy that Chopper, who has such mastery over, how devil fruits can be, or how devil fruits and those sort of wavelengths and shit like that from the devil fruits can be manipulated through pharmaceutical knowledge and stuff like that. I don't think it's like crazy to think that he would have something to say about the smile fruits. I don't know. I just think that that's relevant. Like this stuff with Atlas, where Chopper's like, hey, I think this is more so Frankie's wheelhouse. That makes sense. Atlas is a robot, right? But the smile fruits, just because it's not a disease, it's just like, but you've done other shit that's not disease related. This clearly falls under some sort of doctor related category. Like these people are clearly suffering from having eaten something that's fucking with their bodies and their, their bodies and their, I guess does it fuck with their mental? I don't know. It's clearly fucking with them in some sort of biological level, which seems right up your alley, especially because you study shit like the rumble balls and how you can fuck with devil fruit effects and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know. Call me crazy, but I think it's really weird that the smile fruit situation was there in Wano for Chopper, and then he got the ice oni problem, which I feel like any idiot with a match, or like a lighter could have figured out the solution to that. All right. Uh, Trinity of the Phoenix says, would like to see Zoro versus S-Hawk as an indication to see where Zoro may lie in the power scale in correlation to Mihawk. Yeah, because we can assume that the S-Hawk is, it's an imitation Mihawk, but I'm not going to lie, I would not be surprised if S-Hawk is stronger than King. I would love to see that fight. Dev says Kaido greater than Lucci. Kaido greater than Luffy. Yep. Lucci greater than Kinemon. Kaido can't one-shot Kinemon with Conqueror's Haki. Why would Lucci one-shot Lucci? Why would Luffy one-shot Lucci? But that doesn't... Worst Gen on Roof took attacks from Kaido and Big Mom, too. But Kaido did one-shot Kinemon, right? Wasn't Kinemon... Like, I'm not talking about killing him. I'm not saying kill him. Right? Didn't Kinemon just go down when Kaido hit him? My comparison is always going to be like Act 1 Wano Luffy. Act 1 Wano Luffy, I think, is pretty much... That's basically the bar for where first mate level kind of is, right? Because that's the Luffy that was even with Katakuri. So if Kaido could one-shot that guy... And I know Kaido's greater than Luffy, but in terms of straight up like physical force, they're pretty close. That's what we saw from Wano. And obviously Luffy's actual max power output, which we saw with Bajrangan, is actually greater than Kaido's. But all I'm saying is like, Luffy can split the sky with Kaido, right? That's where he's at. I don't know why Oda's giving like a tamer version, like, oh, they're just going to have a clash anyway for the sake of it, when Luffy what he can actually do if he was putting in advanced Conqueror's Haki and stuff would be way greater. He should be able to completely overpower Lucci, right? So to me, that feels like a little forced that Oda's having them clash just to have them clash. But let's see next chapter when Luffy gets maybe a bit more serious. I think it's still obvious from this chapter that Luffy's above Lucci. Justin Holland says, I meant with how they choose the wielder of their powers. Oh, you are right that Kinemon did get up and then stab Kaido. That's true. But at the same time, I don't think that Kaido is, like, going all out with that. But Luffy's not going all out here. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's kind of just like, it doesn't seem like Lucci's pressed at all, right? I mean, he is, but what I'm saying, I guess, is basically, they're clashing. The clash was implied to be even. We know that Luffy should be able to do more than that, right? Then Luffy gets a hit in, and it just seems like a standard hit. It doesn't seem like, what Kaido did to Kinemon or something, where it was just like an giant blow to him or whatever. Like, Lucci's back and killing Sentomaru the next panel, basically. So, I don't know. We'll see. I don't think that... I'm just saying that I'm surprised by how well Lucci is doing. Because if we put Katakuri in the same situation, I think Luffy just runs him over. Luffy should not even need, for the record, like, Awakening or anything like that to take Katakuri right now. Whether Luffy needs Awakening to take Lucci or not here... I wouldn't be surprised if Luffy could take him in base, but he's using Awakening just because it's fun to. I don't know. Let's see next chapter. We need to take a step back. See next chapter. Maybe Lucci's stronger than we thought. I mean, clearly he's stronger than we thought, but maybe significantly. Direct says, Lucci's awakened while none of the Beast Pirates, including Kaido himself, were. This is the world we live in. I don't know, man. I got nothing to say on that. I don't know. You guys know my complaints about that. Neil Vicaria says, Vegapunk's description of devil fruits makes me think Nika created them based on all of the talk about manifestation of imagination and Nika fruit powers. I don't think Nika created the devil fruits. I think that would make the Nika fruit maybe a bit too much. I think it's just the ultimate wish for freedom or something like that. And that people really clinging on to the desire for the sun god to liberate them, etc., that created the Nika fruit. It also really explains, what I love about that is it explains mythical zones. Because we've always wondered, like, okay, were each of these things actually real things in the One Piece world? It doesn't matter if they were or not, because it's like, we now know that the Phoenix fruit, it doesn't mean that there's an island out there with a bunch of actual real phoenixes. It's just that, it's a mythical fruit, right? Or a mythical zone, a mythical creature that people really wish that they could be. Makes sense. Cigarworks says someone desired bats so much Bubble Fruit came. Yeah, I don't know. There's some weird people in the One Piece world. I wonder if that means that new Devil Fruits can still be created. Broly Power Maximum says, I think Oda's goal is to reveal Gear 5 to the crew and Vegapunk for the lore drop, and Lucci is cute justification. True. Good point. But then what's Kizaru gonna be? I think so it's just a plot thing. I think Will of D related to Devil Fruit Dreams. Oh, that's a good point. Interesting thing. Weekly Shonen Punch says, the person that wanted the jacket fruit, you guys are really hung up on the jacket fruit, just really wanted to keep a loved one warm, especially with all the winter islands. That is right? That's the best explanation for the jacket fruit ever. The person that wanted the jacket fruit, they probably really, really loved, they had a really, really beloved loved one, right? So much so that they wanted to be one with them, and they wanted to keep them warm on a winter island. That makes so much sense. Drek says there was no satisfying alternative. Chopper's a doctor, and Queen needed to flex his character. Oda just didn't know how to make that look cool. Couldn't Chopper have... I don't think the Ice Oni was Queen flexing anything, personally. I don't think we all look back and we're like, wow, those Ice Onis, that really... that Queen really is a terrifying villain with that Ice Oni virus, right? I that's not personally what I got out of it. And again, I'll just say I feel like the Smile Fruit would be a great way to flex Chopper as a doctor, personally. To me, the satisfying alternative would be either Chopper gets a fight or he deals with the Smile Fruits in a way that would be interesting for his character rather than just random fire. Aha, I got it. And then we don't do the Ice Oni thing, and then maybe we save some space in the early parts of Onigashima. Abyssal Leviathan says, would Kizaru's awakening turn everything into holograms / light constructs? Would fit with Vegapunk's speech about reality either earlier in the Photon Gloves. I just don't know if we have a really good idea yet of what Logia awakenings look like. Sorry, guys. I'm not feeling 100%, so I think I'm going to call it in 10 minutes. Said this a few times, but yeah, I'm a little sick right now. So sorry for the short stream. I would have loved to stream longer for this chapter, but my voice is kind of going at the moment, and I'm just fucking exhausted, to be honest. I'm going to go to bed, drink some tea, some more tea, probably drink Dayquil, NyQuil. I think I'm supposed to drink NyQuil now, right? Drink one of those. Samput Sakesh, but I do think Abyssal Leviathan that the light construct stuff could be really, really relevant here. I mean, it just makes sense, right? Samput Sakesh Revolprati says, will Mads rip off Lufeld or will they be owned? I think that this could be a harmonious... I love that. I love this cover story, by the way, at this point. I wasn't loving it initially, but I love it now. I love bringing back even these minor characters like the Underworld. It makes the world feel more, more interconnected, which I always appreciate about One Piece. I think that I don't know how much further we're going to dive into this alliance, basically. So I like to think that maybe they just keep working with Lufeld. Sarmad Nawaz says, advanced observation hockey is not pulling through. Well, I've talked about this before, which is just like, Luffy doesn't always use Future Sight, right? If he did, then he'd see Sentomaru getting fucked up. But Luffy doesn't always turn on Future Sight. I did talk about that in a big hockey video that I dropped recently. CK says, keep in mind Luffy adjusts his power level to who he's fighting. He's not going to completely overwhelm Lucci with advanced conquers if he doesn't need to. That's true. That is just the way Luffy is. Maybe next chapter he's angry, so he just goes all out. Again, sometimes it depends on how angry Luffy is. I thought that, clearly the setup is that, Oda, like somebody a little earlier, who was it? Broly Power Maximum made a good point, which is just that story-wise, what Oda really wanted was to have a showcase for Gear 5th in a not super high-stress setting, therefore Luffy versus Lucci. Therefore, even though Luffy's mad, so you'd expect him to get mad over Atlas and just finish off Lucci, that's not fun, and it doesn't serve the purpose that Oda needs Luffy to be doing right now, which is showing off Gear 5th to Vegapunk and the crew. Therefore, it goes the way that it does. But you're right, CK. Caleb Brown says, Oda gonna give Devil Fruit's backstory as sad as characters. That's true. So many Devil Fruits could have really, really sad backstories after this. I don't know, the food fruit or something like that. That'd be sad. Oh man, the invisible. You know what's hilarious? I was trying to think like, what's the worst devil fruit that somebody wanted then? The invisibility fruit. I bet that like, I think that was created by people that really really wanted to peep. Right? It just makes sense. It was just made by Sanjis and Absaloms, right? Hybrid says, you a Jason Tatum fan? No. Not that I have anything against Jason Tatum. I just have not been watching Celtics games this season. And I'm kind of already locked in with the players that I like from the new generation. So I'm kind of locked in. Like, I can only be a fan of so many players. From the newer gen players, right? Love Zion, love Luka. Luka's probably the one I'm most excited for, but Luka, Zion, Jokic isn't really new gen anymore, is he? Giannis. These are the players that I guess they're not new gen exactly. Jason's a bit younger than those guys, but I think I'm kind of locked in. I don't need to be a Jason Tatum fan. I respect him. I think he's a great player, but I haven't watched enough Celtics games. Also, it doesn't hurt that, like, I think the bigger thing is that I was watching this year's finals, like Warriors Celtics, and I was rooting hard for the Warriors the entire time. So because Curry's my second favorite player after LeBron. I know, weird, don't ask me, I'd have to go on a whole tangent about it, but I like LeBron, I like Curry. So I was really, really rooting for the Warriors, basically. I wanted Curry to win his finals MVP. So I was really, really happy to see Jason Tatum absolutely shit the bed this finals. So that's really not going to go away. I think in the future, I'll probably respect him more. But at the moment, I'm not really a Jason. I'm not a hater. I'm just not a Tatum fan. Drek says, I meant Queen needed to be himself, act like an actual character. Otherwise, he would have been a heap of nothing like Jack and King. I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. Let me ask, who's your guys' favorite out of King, Queen, and Jack? Curious. Why do I even bother putting Jack in there? I might as well. Cigarverk says, Will of D might be a pact with Devil where the desires of these people come true, and Ancient Kingdom had these people and other kingdoms feared this power. Might be a reason current gods fear the D people. So you think Will of D caused these devil fruits to repeatedly manifest into reality, and then everybody really feared that? And then, that's so interesting. That's a really cool theory, Cigar. I like that a lot. Wug says, do you think this is a setup for Kizaru? I mean, they said Kizaru is coming, right? So it's the setup for Kizaru? Isn't he coming? He's on his way. King is people's favorite with 55%. Jack pulls in respectable 9%. I'm impressed. All right, guys, let's get the stream to 700 likes. I think we can do one last good push. What do you guys think is going to happen with Kizaru and Egghead? Do you think that he's going to fight? I'm curious. Is the prevailing belief that he's going to fight Luffy? Is the prevailing belief that he's going to fight the Straw Hats? Do some people think he's just going to fight Zoro and Brook? Do some people think that he's going to be going up against Vegapunk and Vegapunk's light shit? I'm curious. Young Doka says Jack is still the most interesting. Let's be honest. His strength and matchup made him irrelevant though. Man, if Jack just like, if he lived up to early Jack, like Zoe Jack, it would have been awesome. It would have been awesome. Like, who knew that Zunisha, mixing two words. Jack getting fucked up by Zunisha was just basically setting the precedent for what would happen to him every time we see him in the story from there on. People saying Sanji? Sanji versus Kizaru. See, the thing is, I buy into Sanji versus Kizaru at some point. It just seems early to me. Like, I thought that maybe endgame of the story, when the Straws are rolling up, full-ass Yonko crew, then maybe we get Sanji versus Kizaru. Cigarverk says it would be funny for Kizaru to come all this way to get defeated by Zoro and Brook outside the island. Kizaru versus Kuma? I don't think so, personally. Alright, guys, I'm just going to answer a couple more questions. No supers, please. I'm just going to wrap it from here. I'm just dead. Sorry. Would have loved to have done a longer stream for this chapter specifically, just because it's an exciting chapter. It's a very exciting, like, CP0 attacks, the Seraphims roll up, Seraphims turn on the Straw Hats, Kizaru is showing up, Kuma himself is probably showing up soon. It's kind of crazy. I think this is way more than I expected from Egghead Island. Way, way, way more. Uninspired says, what do you think of ranch on pizza? This is the last super I'll answer just because it was asked. Thanks for getting the stream to 700, guys. I appreciate it. What do I think of ranch on pizza? Okay, and I'll answer hi. I'm not going to not answer the supers, but I'm just asking that they stop because we're trying to stop the stream. I like ranch on pizza. I'm not the type of person that gets it every time or like specifically asks for it. I'm fine just having normal ass pizza, but I do like ranch on pizza. I think it's honestly my favorite combo topping on pizza. And people that think it's gross, I think generally haven't tried it because I thought it was gross too. But then someone made me try it, and I think it's actually one of the coolest pizza toppings. Probably my favorite pizza topping. That, crushed red pepper, stuff like that. Hybrid says top 5 all time. Tim Duncan at 5. Derrick Rose. Okay, I see where you're going with it. LeBron at 3. MJ at 2. Jason Tatum at 1. What a flawless top 5. I'm curious. Have you guys tried ranch on pizza? You guys should try it. It's pretty good. All right, I'm going to answer one more normal question. Overdrive X says, Morj, has this arc regained your hope after Wano? I mean, I put out a video recently talking about how I really, really like the what I feel are changes in writing style that we've been getting in this arc. I do honestly think that if we think back in terms of the start of any saga, right? Is this not the hottest start to any saga we've ever had? No, I would say Sabaody. No, because even that, it began with the Flying Fish Riders arc. I think Oda today would not write that Flying Fish Riders bit. I think I feel like there's a streamlining going on. I feel like he wouldn't do the Flying Fish Riders segment now. So with that, I think that this is the hottest start to a saga that we've ever had, right? There's nothing else I can really think of. Because this is just, we've been on this island for less than 10 chapters, and we've already got Gear 5th Luffy again, fighting against Lucci. So it's Strats versus CP0. Gear 5th Luffy is already out, fighting against Lucci. We've already gotten Law versus Blackbeard. It seems like we're about to get the Seraphim, so basically Shichibukai imitations versus the Straw Hats maybe. And we've got an Admiral on his way. And not like Green Bull, where he's just going to run off. It feels like, well, maybe that's too early to say. But it doesn't feel like a Green Bull situation, right? It feels like Kizaru is coming to actually rumble. So I think it's the hottest start to a saga that we've ever had. Because you're talking about all those action beats combined with the crazy lore information that we've been getting at the same time, right? So you can look at other sagas the way they began with like Zoe, which was really, really good for lore and reveals, but it didn't really have the action or the spice, right? You can even look at the Marineford saga again, which had some... I think Sabaody is a crazy, crazy arc. I doubt that this arc beats Sabaody just because the way Sabaody wrapped up was insane. It changed the story forever, right? Sabaody's ending was mind-blowing. But Sabaody, even that began slower with all the Flying Fish Rider stuff, right? They had to kind of get into it. This, I don't think Oda's missed a beat. There hasn't been a single Egghead Island chapter that hasn't either been really important for action or for lore and reveals, or both, right? And again, it doesn't feel like there's any extra characters or anything like that. Oda could have sent like 15 CP0 members. It's just Lucci, who we know, Stussy, who we know, Kaku, who we know, and Kaku and Stussy are not taking up too much space or anything like that. It's mainly just a setup for Lucci versus Luffy, it feels like. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I just think that this is the hottest start to a storyline that we've ever had. I think it's great. I love it. That's all I gotta say. All right, guys. I will talk to you all later. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it very much. I'm sorry again, seriously, about the short stream. I know it's very, very short compared to usual, but I just am not feeling well today whatsoever. I'm sure that it'll be worked off by Monday and Monday stream and stuff like that, hopefully.